Thanks very much for joining us today. We've just concluded a very successful mass canvass of the constituency of St. Michael Central. A large number of Barbados Labour Party candidates and a large number of Barbados Labour Party members of Parliament have joined together with the St. Michael Central family to demonstrate to the people of the constituency the party's commitment and Arthur Holder's commitment to this constituency. Arthur will tell you in detail his own feelings about how the morning has been and so on, and then I'll probably have a word on a few of the more national issues. Arthur?
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. There are a number of pressing concerns in the constituency of St. Michael Central. These have remained so for quite a while, even though there is a sitting representative for the past 9 years. Nothing has been done to address the issue of unemployment among our young people. Nothing has been done to address the situation with housing. There has been some small semblance done in relation to roads, but that is about all that has been done. There's some areas of concern. If you go to the Ben Pastor, for example, just opposite Hill Road, that is overgrown with bush. The young people of this area has been crying out for so long to just for a recreational spot to play a little football. You then could go up to the Human Resource Center in Station Hill. There used to be a lovely pasture where football and cricket used to be played. I guarantee you, if you go up there now, you will see horses grazing on what that was a field. I must say that we've had an absentee representative for the past 9 years. It is amazing that when you knock at people's houses, they say that, but we haven't seen the person who's supposed to represent us in Parliament for the past 9 years. I know that we used to have absentee landowners, but this is akin to what we have in this constituency. The support from the households have been overwhelming. I do believe that, having worked this constituency for the last number of years, that when the bell is rung, that I should be successful in this attempt. I don't see why we should not be able to overcome the 39 votes. Having canvassed this area and canvassed the people's and the people questions and stuff, I think I'm blessed and fortunate to be able to come back to the people of St. Michael Central and indicate my dedication and commitment to them. I dare not say that the issue of jobs is foremost in the people's mind. It is reflective of the poor, inadequate policies that cannot be and will never be addressed by the Democratic Labour Party. There's a need, obviously, to address our young people. The young people here crying out for work. People in this country, and even in St. Michael's Central, they don't want to live off of welfare. They don't. But if this government cannot implement policies from an economic perspective, then what do you expect? There's a series of things that have occurred under every DLP administration. First and foremost, people will tell you, whenever the Barbados Labour Party is in power, they get work. Whenever the Democratic Labour Party is in power, there's no work. And this is reflected again in St. Michael Central. Any questions that you all wish me to address?
I just want to speak.
Mr. Fardy?
No, just on camera. No, just something. No, this not. You can do it. I am not a party affiliation, but I will say something. I was in this country for over 20 years. I have never seen this parliamentarian that represents us. I don't know who the hell is this man, because he have never shown his face yet. And I can tell you this year now, I've never seen Steve Blackett in my life. In about 20 years, I have lived in Gisgap, Eagle Hall. I live in, and we had called it water haul line for over 10 years, and now this is over 7 years of living in Class Road.
That's right.
Class Road. I have never seen steel block in my. I can't call them barbers, but how the hell do you think is? I done with that.
Any questions?
Other than jobs, were there any other
There's obviously there's overgrown bush in the constituency as usual. There are a number of
Pause for more. Pause for more.
yeah.
Go ahead.
There's the issue of lighting. For example, in Quarry Road, you have a 7 poles, for example, and not one of these 7 is working. So there's an issue, and the concern expressed by those persons in Quarry Road that unless they have adequate lighting, that the possibility exists for burglaries and stuff like that, and they would like that addressed urgently.
You mentioned that there's been issues like with the overgrown pastures and stuff like that. Have you yourself as a representative taken on the burden of your constituents and tried to rectify this matter?
Ma'am, I have done more than that. I want to give you a classic example. I wrote on behalf of the constituency, especially in Waterhall and in relation to the National Petroleum Corporation. For example, they would have taken deposits from the people in this constituency, and they have never put in the natural gas. And the reasons for that, they were explaining that the roads were not fixed and stuff. And it's a blessing now that we see the roads fixed. But the roads have been fixed out of taxpayers' money. So there are no kudos to be given to Mr. Blackett for the roads being done. This is taxpayers' money that have done the roads, and this is what a representative ought to have done. So this taxpayers' money, so he cannot walk about and tell people then that he would have done something for the people of the constituency. MTW, out of my money, and the people who reside in the constituency money would have built those roads.
Well, you also said that you believe that the next election you are certain that you're going to take on.
It's confident.
Right, yes.
That you are
Very
confident
confident.
about your lane. What would be your first act for your constituents?
To be the best representative ever for the people of St. Michael's Central. That is my first job as the
First and only
MP,
job.
to be a true representative of the people of St. Michael's Central. The situation is woeful, is lacking. That is why I refer to it as an absentee representative. And you just have to knock at people's house, ma'am, and they will tell you that. You just have to knock at people's house and they will tell you that. And that's why the reception has been so great. That is why the reception has been so good. They truly want someone to represent their interests, ma'am.
Tell me some of the areas you touched this afternoon.
Well, we've touched the land from Breakfast St. Michael Central. That's why it is a mass canvas. That the objective is to touch every single street in the constituency. And that's what we intend to do before the day is finished. Half the job has been accomplished so far. And as soon as we quench our thirst, get something, we'll be back out there completing the job. And I'm thankful for the support of the Barbados Labour Party. The strength that has been shown by the entire unit, the entire family of this great party.
There are a couple of thank you very much, Arthur, and I too look forward to a magnificent victory in this constituency, and I look forward to Arthur joining us to help to make Barbados a better place than it is now, and I think that's a good place to start. I believe that the country by now will have awakened to the news that last night there was a tragic shooting and a shooting death in St. James with 2 other individuals now nursing critical injuries. And I think also that in the last week or so, Barbadians would also have seen on social media and in the press a video of 2, I assume, young men engaged in another shooting event, and the police, of course, asking if there are any leads that the public can offer. I think that these things are symptomatic of a Barbados that has gone past ailing. we people like Arthur and I and Mia, we grew up in a Barbados that was very different to the Barbados that we see now. We grew up in a Barbados, one of the hallmarks of which was safety. There was poverty, yes. There was some deprivation. But it was a Barbados that had a brilliant future. It was a Barbados that was safe. It was a Barbados that we could be proud of. And in our 14 years of government between 1994 and 2008, we worked hard as a party every day in government to try to secure exactly that safe environment for generations to come. In the last 2 terms of this Democratic Labour Party, and in another 3 or 4 days it will be the 4th anniversary of their election victory in the 2013 election. But under their administration, we have seen Barbados descend into a level of gun violence, into a level of selfishness, Barbados now is virtually unrecognizable in relation to what it used to be. And these are the things that are crying out for attention by this administration. There are economic issues that are affecting us, but there are also the human issues that are affecting us. I think everybody is aware of the issues with the governor of the central bank and so on, and I don't plan on talking about those things. I want to say that the Democratic Labour Party has failed Barbados as a modern democracy. They have done everything that a government could possibly do to drive Barbados from a pedestal that it was on in the Caribbean now to a place where our Caribbean colleagues are finding us to be a laughing stock. We are no longer safe in our homes. And one of the things about the gun violence is, and there's always been gun violence in Barbados over the years, but the brazen and bold-faced nature now of these incidents is unprecedented. And it has been going on for the last 8 years of Democratic Labour Party administration. There are shootouts weekly. People are going about their normal day-to-day activity. They're going about their partying and so on. And, they're being faced with this kind of almost terrorist attitude of our young men. The time has come when Barbadians have to stand up and say that the Democratic Labour Party has failed us as a country, and they have to go. We can no longer continue to live like this. It is not going to get any better under the Democratic Labour Party. They've shown to us what they're capable of doing. And if we see over the last 8 years that all that they're capable of doing is wrecking the economy, vandalizing the lifestyle of Barbadians, then the notion that they would hold on to government for another year to do more of the same is absurd. They say that the mark of a crazy man is a person who does the same thing over and over again and expects to get the same result. The Democratic Labour Party has been doing the same thing over and over and over again and expects the people of Barbados to have some hope that there will be a different result. We have a year left. We have a year left before the elections are constitutionally due. But the people of this constituency, St. Michael Central, the people of St. Joseph, the people of St. Andrew, St. Lucie, the people of Barbados cannot wait that long because it is doubtful if we will survive. It isn't just a call for the head of the governor of the central bank or a call for the head of Chris Sinclair. It is a call for the Democratic Labour Party to take this country into the elections so that Barbadians can decisively say what they want as a government going forward. And we expect that they would resoundingly elect the Barbados Labour Party because of our track record, because of the excellent field of candidates that we have, and because truly the Labour Party ensures that there's a better future for our people. Any questions?
You say you're not going to touch on the debacle between the government and central bank, but I want your take on that.
As a former Attorney General?
Former Attorney General.
I think it is scandalous, and it demonstrates to me that there's a disconnect between, sorry. Yeah, okay. I think it is scandalous, and it demonstrates to me that we have a cabinet government that doesn't understand the roles of various individuals. The first 2 people who are sworn in any administration are the Prime Minister and an Attorney General. I cannot for the life of me see how a Minister of Finance could find himself in a position where an important decision like this is clearly not discussed with the Attorney General in terms of providing guidance as to how it should be approached and what are the possible pitfalls. But the Barbadians now have to suffer as a result of obviously an intellectual disconnect between the Attorney General and the Minister of Finance. We ought not to be in this place. Prime Minister Oenatha dismissed a former governor of the central bank. There was no brouhaha, the courts weren't called in, precisely because the Prime Minister on that occasion, before he acted, consulted with the individuals with whom he had to consult and made sure that whatever he did was done in accordance with the law. The law has not changed, the Central Bank Act has not changed. What has changed, however, are the players. Okay? Now, it is scandalous that we should have an Attorney General appearing in court with the Solicitor General yesterday to try to salvage a situation that is now the laughing stock of the Caribbean. We have journalists in Trinidad publishing articles about this exact situation. They're not publishing articles in a way that they're not speaking of us anymore as being the paragons of good governance and so on. They're laughing at Barbados. We have the Minister of Finance looking to fire his chief advisor on fiscal policy. And it is ending up in the court. Now, who is going to suffer? Let us think about it. Can the central bank expect to function in the way it should function if there's a sort of Damocles hanging over the head of its leadership? You have an impasse between the central bank governor and his board. Now, when the people go to work at the central bank on Monday, what are they going to work to do? From whom will they take direction? Can they be confident and comfortable taking directions from a governor, the fate of whom is now in the hands of the court? The Prime Minister has an expectation that the fiscal matters of Barbados, because the Prime Minister is not the Minister of Finance, he has an expectation that his Minister of Finance and the governing central bank will provide proper leadership for the country. With this impasse between them, it is impossible. And at the worst possible time, our foreign reserves are dropping. And I'm not an economist, but I think that it is public knowledge that the foreign exchange take for tourism in December was much lower than expected, and January again much lower than expected. We're now in February, so at a time when our currency is facing its greatest threat, what is playing out in the lower courts of Barbados are the two individuals whose job it is to safeguard our currency and to ensure that there's no devaluation. And that is what Barbados has come to. We have changed governors of the central bank. We have changed chairmen of statutory boards over the years. And not once has an individual felt that they were unfair or that they had to seek recourse to the courts to resolve this issue. But who is suffering? Not the Minister of Finance. Not even the governor of the central bank. The people of the Barbados are the ones whose fate is hanging in the balance and whose future and whose currency's future is dependent not on the collective wisdom of our leaders, but is dependent on a court decision that is to be given next week. And that's what Barbados has come to. How many more issues? I mean, David Commerce-Young has threatened to put the government in court to get an injunction in relation to the Hayat. On and on and on. The Barbados is now in a state of misery because people now feel so aggrieved about the decision-making power of its leaders that they consider that good governance has been thrown through the window and we now have to have recourse to the courts. And we could start talking about the courts because Lord knows how long decisions will be reached at. But we've had the police force in a state of limbo for 4 years. 4 years. Again, because of poor governance, poor decision making. Leaders intervening in things that they don't need to intervene in. And promotions effectively frozen in a police force, leaving the police force naked and unable to function to its best capacity. Now, it is one thing to rely on the courts for disputes of these kinds, but when we see repeatedly the courts being relied on by individuals to attack the decision of decision makers, we have to call into question the judgment of this Democratic Labour Party leadership. So our economy is now to be ruled on, or the future of our economy is now to be determined not by fiscal planners, not by our economists, but by 3 judges in the Court of Appeal whose forte happens to be law. Now that's a tragedy. Good? Yes.
Question. What's going on in the region? Could you give any details about the house? Yeah,
This house.
Yeah.
Mr. Holder?
This house has been in this state for over 8 years. Nothing has been done by the representative to assist Mr. Ross John in relation to
It's
Remington.
occupied?
Yes, people live there.
People live.
Yes, ma'am. But this is a classic example of absentee representation.
That's
The state of
first duty
disrepair.
of a representative,
State of disrepair, someone is in there, yes.
to look after the needy.
How many people live there?
Four.
Four?
Yeah.
2 adults, children.
2 children, 2 adults.
How old the children are? I mean, as in
School age?
10?
Between the age of 3 and 6.
And the adults?
Yeah, 2 adults.
Not the age group. Like, you have elderly and
No,
you
just
don't-
Not elderly, not elderly.
Those are the parents of the 2 children, right?
Grandfather and mother.
There you go. And this is being presided over by a
A
member of
minister,
Parliament.
not only a minister, but a minister
Of social
who,
care.
who has welfare as part of his portfolio. Who has welfare, poverty alleviation as part of his portfolio. And this is in the sad state as it is.
How long has it been like this?
8 years.
Storm Blackett.
I can take you through the constituency and you will see houses from Thomas whose roofs have not been, I can carry the lumber place now and show you Smoky House whose roof has not been repaired as yet. Since 2010. Thomas.
And that feature, I can say, is replicated all across Barbados. I still have in St. Joseph
Right, see?
almost a dozen houses damaged by Thomas. In fact, in 2 instances, the houses have just fallen apart and are now no longer there, just because of an uncaring administration.
That can find money to spend on constituency football
Independence.
and constituency football.